What's up everybody and welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about how appraisals are affecting the buyers in today's real estate market. So a common concern right now that we're seeing, a lot of buyers are trying to get into the market, but what's happening is that the homes they've bought are getting appraised lower than the actual purchase price that they've put on their home. So I know this is a big concern for a lot of first-time home buyers or a lot of buyers in general. And we're going to talk about ways around that, how to put certain conditions into your offer to avoid any sort of issues with your lender.
We can start first with what an appraisal actually is, and that's getting a third party approved by the lender to come into the home that you're potentially purchasing or you're selling or you're refinancing and appraising that actual value of the home in the current market as is that day.
Just so everyone understands, so let's say you buy a property for $500,000. I'm gonna keep the number super simple here. You're gonna buy a property for $500,000 and you when it goes to get appraised by the lenders, the lenders say it comes back when it's worth $400,000. That buyer would then be responsible for the gap between $400,000 and $500,000, so the buyer would be responsible for a $100,000 payment. We want to talk to you and educate you on how to get around this and how to avoid any sort of headaches when it comes to these appraisals that are coming in short. In the past, it's been a little difficult to try to put conditions in offers because we saw such a hot market in the last little bit and we weren't able to do these things in the offers because then it just wouldn't get accepted. But now the market we're in, it's allowing buyers to kind of have a little bit more pull on their side of things and put certain conditions into an agreement to cover the buyer and make them feel satisfied and safe.
That's the benefit of being in this market that we're in now. When you're in that super hot market, you have to get all your ducks in a row, and you have, I guess the good thing about that is that your appraisal wasn't really an issue. The home prices were going crazy, but you also had to go in, make sure all the financing was good. Everything was good prior to even stepping foot in the property really, or looking at it because it would be gone so quickly. Now with all the listings on the market, with all the availability of homes out there and having more choice, also comes with the freedom to put an appraisal condition in there or a financing condition.
It's really important to understand that a finance condition is not the same as an appraisal condition, and they're actually viewed very differently, especially in terms of what the seller sees. If the seller sees an appraisal condition, even though we are in a buyer's market or at least heading toward a buyer's market, depending on who you talk to, it still might actually frighten the seller a little bit. So there's ways to kind of, I don't want to say hide that, but there's better ways to go about that, and it's a lot easier than you actually think.
A big difference between the finance and appraisal condition in terms of the lending side of things is that the lender will have some fire under their ass there to get your deal approved if you have a financing condition, right? If we have 3 or 5 days to make sure that that client is good to go on the financing, then that's when the lender's going to work faster to kind of get things done. Not saying that they don't want to get deals done quickly when they get sent in, but when you have an appraisal condition, that's more for the buyer, right? It's not necessarily for the lender and the buyer to make sure that their financing is going to go through. The lender's going to look at it as, we'll still approve your financing, but we can take our time. We have until closing. You just have to get that appraisal done at some point. We're definitely going to want to see it, but it's not going to necessarily affect your financing up front.
If you put a finance condition into your offer, you can have maybe a little bit of a longer finance condition.
If you're really worried about you're overpaying or you're in this shifting market, you can get a rush appraisal done. You're going to pay some more money. It's going to be the cost to the buyer. Some lenders will kick you back some money on closing to cover appraisal fees and things like that.
What's a typical appraisal cost?
It really depends on area, and it also depends on how busy the market is, what appraiser is going into the property, because every appraiser can kind of charge whatever they want, and especially if you're getting them to rush, okay, they might have 20 deals on their desk, they're going to say, well, we'll do it for $200 more, or whatever it is. But if you're downtown Toronto and you need a condo appraised, you're probably looking at $350, $375. If you're out somewhere farther outside the city, especially if you go into, way further outside the GTA and there's less just population density, there's less offices where an appraiser might be, they might factor in their travel time, all that sort of thing. So if you get a rush appraisal on somewhere that's far outside the city, that can be costing you, north of $1,000. I've seen appraisals. Depending on the lender and depending on the loan to value as well, if you have a $1 million property and you're placing a $500,000 down payment on it, 50% loan to value on that, the lender may be more inclined to just say, it's okay, because you're putting so much down payment down that we'll just get an automated appraisal through our system, like basically just running comps and saying, whatever, it's like $950, $900, but it doesn't really matter because your down payment's so increased.
On the realtor side of things, if I put an appraisal condition into an offer, it could tend to scare the sellers away because there's a decent chance that maybe it comes up short and then the buyer's gonna have to come up with extra funds that maybe the buyer doesn't have. However, if you put a finance condition in that's maybe, let's say like 7 days, you'd be able to get an appraisal done in 7 days.
For sure. Like
you're just covering
said,
you're covering your own ass on both ends. You're covering your finance conditional end on that side, and you can also make sure it's appraised and appraised properly, so you're not stuck in any, you know, sort of additional fund situation where you don't have additional funds to get.
Because there are definitely lenders that will give you a same day approval on a financing condition. They'll work quick and say, okay, boom, you're approved. Here's your commitment package. Like, depending on which lenders you go to and how busy they are and the time of the year, lots of factors, but generally your mortgage broker will know, or which lenders are going to be a faster turnaround time. These guys are going to be 4 hours. We're going to send the deal and we'll get a commitment right back. Those ones, if you were worried about the appraisal, we could get that back, then order the appraisal right away. If you had maybe 5-7 days, it might even get done on a regular timeline as an appraisal, but it would still be worth it if you're really thinking that you're overpaying for this and it's dependent on this that factor. Then you can easily do a rush appraisal, get it done in 24 hours with certain appraisers, depending on area as well.
That's all we wanted to get across here, is that I know this is a concern, and it's in the media, it's in the news all the time for buyers right now, that these appraisals are coming up short and that it's getting a lot of people nervous and uncomfortable. But in the current market that we're in right now in Toronto, GTA area, we're able to put a condition in to protect you as a buyer, to avoid getting yourself in any situation that you're not overly comfortable doing, that might actually ruin the deal and make you lose the house. So this can all be taken care of as long as you work with people that know what they're doing and know the ins and the outs of the business and the proper way to go about doing this, so you actually can still get your deal done. So just make sure you contact either one of us, because we're the best, and we'll get it done. But anyways, we appreciate you guys watching this video, and if you have any other questions about appraisals or anything real estate related or mortgage related in general, please feel free to drop a comment in the comment section, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.